Hey friends, welcome back to Heartscapes Homestead, where we are gardening and growing community to be rooted, to be spacious, to be connected, and to remember ourselves. My name's Michaela. Welcome back to the Elderberry Cave. I just wanted to jump on here real quick because I had one of these moments today. Perhaps you've had a moment like this, where there's something that you know, like you've known the fact of this thing for a long time, but it hasn't like gotten integrated into your consciousness maybe, or your habits, your behavior. So you're not really acting on that knowledge. And this is something related to gardening that has been in my mind for years, and this just recently I'm like, oh, this is actually what I'm supposed to do about this. And that is the topic of succession planting. And succession planting is, simply just means the process of planting plants one after the other as one plant finishes up, having something ready to go in the ground in that same spot so that your garden is continuous throughout the seasons that you have. And, I live in Central California. We have a really long season. We can start getting, we can grow cold weather stuff all through the winter, and we can get warm weather stuff in the ground March or April usually. And then, we don't get our first frost until December usually. So we have a really long season. But somehow in my mind, we basically had a spring season, a summer season, and a fall season. And so my planning, when I start seeds in January for summer planting, or planting in the spring to harvest in the summer. And then I start seeds in around July or so to put in the ground for fall to go through the winter. So in my mind, there's kind of 2 rounds of succession in the season. And yet, year after year, we'll be turning the tide over into summer, and I've got plants finishing up that I'm pulling out of the garden. Now there's spaces that I don't have something ready to go. We're now July 3rd, and right at the beginning of summer, I'm pulling out my first round of tomatoes. I'm pulling out basil that's gone to seed, various other things. Now, luckily, through sheer happenstance, I've got some seedlings ready to go in the ground. But that wasn't by design. Somebody gave me a bunch of peppers that I hadn't been able to give away, all of them. I had been pulling suckers off of my tomato plants and just rerooting them with the intention of giving them away. And I did plant some basil seed, knowing that basil does go to seed pretty quickly. So that was intentional. So I have some stuff ready to go in the ground. But it's like, it's been so long that I'll have these moments where I'm like, wait, why are there all these holes in my garden? It's just the beginning or the middle of summer. So I guess all I'm jumping on here to say is that I'm learning to plan better as a gardener and to have a more honest assessment about our seasons, and to just look at the numbers, right? Like, I am not a math person. I'm not a numbers person. But if we have a season that runs, 9 months out of the year, plus a little winter season in between there, and plants, annual plants only live for so long, that's multiple rounds of plants that I could be growing. And because I haven't been operating that way, my productivity has been not anywhere near what it could and should be for years, really, since I restarted my garden in 2020. So I guess I'm coming on here to say, learn from my mistakes. Be prepared to have something ready to go in the ground throughout your entire season. So that you can be as productive as possible, your garden can look as lush as possible, and, you get to enjoy it for as much as possible. There's a number of reasons why certain plants in certain regions will need to be thought of in terms of succession. I mentioned basil going to seed. I live in a really hot area, so once the summer hits or even late spring, the heat bolts right up and basil often goes to seed pretty quickly. Certainly leafy vegetables go to seed pretty much immediately. Those are pretty much done for. I can't grow any spinach or lettuce or anything like that through the summer, but I can certainly put in another round of basil, another round of flowers. I can put in, I had some determinate tomatoes that are just about wrapping up. Thank goodness I've got some tomatoes ready to go in to replace them. If I was growing something like radishes, those only take like, I don't know, 40 days or something. I'm not growing any radishes at the moment, but as another example. You might also be in an area where you get a lot of pest pressure or disease pressure, like in the south where it's hot and humid and there's a lot of insects. Oftentimes things like squash beetles will take down zucchini and pumpkins pretty quickly. And so one way to combat that is to be prepared to replant zucchini, just kind of keep them going throughout the season. So you've got new plants coming up behind the ones that were taken down. So lots of reasons why plants might have a shorter life than you expect, and it's just a good idea to be prepared. So just sharing my kind of embarrassing revelation. And happy to say I've got some basil, some tomatoes, some peppers ready to go in the ground in those holes. And I'm going to start thinking as I'm planning for next year about what other plants I want to more intentionally set up for succession planting, so that we can all be successful. Anywho's, that's all I wanted to say. Happy gardening. May your garden grow beautiful. May it provision you well for everything you got to do in your life. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.